Teresa, and I don't even know if I was able to pronounce your last name. I don't think you ever tried to pronounce your last name, but Shudowitz? Is that right?
Shudrowitz.
Shudrowitz, okay. Oh yeah. But yeah, Teresa is all the way from the Great Lakes region, Michigan area. And she was initiated with the Theta Omicron chapter. And I know that Teresa has had a vast of experiences too with DSP, even after graduation. And so I think that Teresa is the perfect speaker too to kind of talk about this thing and kind of the different Delta Sigma Pi alumni areas that we can be involved in and stay involved in too after graduation. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Teresa.
Yeah, thank you, Cody. And thank you everybody for joining. Talking about alumni and what we can do as alumni and what's available and how we can stay involved has definitely been something that has been one of my passions with the fraternity. Just kind of to give you all a little bit more background about me. The Theta Omicron chapter, where I was initiated, it's at was at St. Ambrose University. It is no longer a active chapter. Unfortunately, shortly after I graduated, that the chapter did fold. Part of the reason because my chapter we were very isolated. We didn't do a lot. We didn't do anything with other chapters. We didn't do anything on a national level. So it was kind of Delta Sigma Pi when I was an alumni or when I was a collegiate was just kind of something that, okay, hey, this is a good group for why I'm in college. And we always had good speakers and good professional events, but it was never really something that was seen as staying active, even though, even then, we'd say it's not 4 years, it's for life. And my chapter would say that, but we really wouldn't live that. And it just so happened that after I graduated, that then my first job after college was in the Chicago area. I didn't know anybody in Chicago. I grew up in the Milwaukee area of Wisconsin. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to this city that I don't know anyone. Few people from school, came to Chicago, but it was very limited. And I just so happened that I got the Deltasig in the mail, and that, reading through it and going, oh, there's an alumni chapter in Chicago. And so then I'm like, oh, that's a way I can get to know other people. We have this fraternity in common. And so I got involved with the Chicago alumni chapter, and it's kind of been now a journey since then. And a lot of my, what I would say were my best experiences with the fraternity have been as an alumni. And I'm very glad that it's something that I didn't give up on and that I continued to be involved in. And so looking, and let me see, there we go. My computer's a little slow on flipping slides. So when we look at, as collegiates and our time in the fraternity during college, we have a lot of similarities. Because we're, here we are, it's a chapter, and yeah, we do have many chapters across the country, but predominantly you're involved with your chapter that's on your university. So you have that in common of you're all going to the same school. A lot of times brothers in your chapter are taking the same or similar classes. So you have this experience that is able to really bring you together. And you're on this journey for this defined period of time where your ultimate goal is, okay, we want to graduate and we want to go out into the world and get a job, but we want to get to that point where we get that diploma. And here's these similarities. And a lot of times too, as a collegiate, the vast majority of our collegiate brothers are about the same age, you know, that they're all 18 to 23. And yes, you do have some, because you do have some chapters do have graduate students who join the chapter, or, you know, have students who are your non-traditional, but the vast majority of the brothers in those chapters are in that 18 to 23 range. And so then that also does make it very easy to, as you're doing activities, you know, that, okay, here's this small defined group that we all have these similar interests and similar things that we want to do. So it makes it fairly easy to be involved and to stay involved with your collegiate chapter. But as we transition to alumni and looking at alumni life, you know, that then now we're looking at somebody who just graduated from college, just getting their first job, you know, all the way through, you know, people retiring and post, you know, now they're living that, you know, retired life. And in there that, you know, you have this huge age range of people, and you have the different experiences, because you have people who are just starting at jobs, you have people who have been in jobs for, in a single job for their entire career, you have people who are changing jobs, maybe they're going out, you know, they're going into some other field besides business. So you have all of these other interests that are coming into play. You have what people are doing outside of, you know, just their work, you know, or just what they might be doing with the fraternity. They have other interests. They may be traveling. They may have different activities that they're looking at doing and trying to balance their time with those. Relationships, starting families, you know, as the kids go off to college. So you have people in all these different phases of life, you know, and at some point as an alumni, what you're looking to be able to do, or that you want to do with the fraternity, may change. You know, that when, you know, you're in your 20s and single and, you know, only have a job that you're doing, you know, okay, yeah, you want to be active with the fraternity and do different events and get together with where they can, you know, do something where their kids are involved, you know, and also, you know, may not have as much, because they have a young family, may not have as much time to participate in things with the fraternity. And so, you know, we want to look at what opportunities, you know, regardless of what phase of life you're in, that you can do, and that, you know, may change over time. So looking at some of the things, and it's going to be a little bit slow here on shifting the slide. Okay, so we want to look at, you know, what opportunities are available that we can participate in, or we can volunteer in as an alumni. So one of the things that a lot of people hear about as an alumni is getting involved with alumni chapters. And we currently have over 50 active alumni chapters around the country, as well as other areas where, you know, we do have somebody who is a contact, either to be able to put alumni in touch with each other, or that they're looking at starting an alumni chapter in that area. Now, one of the nice things about alumni chapters is, a couple of nice things about them, is that you do not have to live in the area of a chapter to belong to that given chapter. So, you know, you can live on the East Coast and belong to alumni chapters in California. You can also belong to more than one alumni chapter. So, for instance, for myself, I am a member of both the Chicago alumni chapter and the Twin Cities alumni chapter, as well as when the Milwaukee alumni chapter was in existence, I was a member of that chapter as well. So you can be a part of more than one chapter. That there is no limit to that. And you also, as far as that, a lot of alumni chapters that, they're opening their events to other brothers, not just their members. So, even if you're not a member of a given alumni chapter, if they're having an event, that then you can certainly get the information from them and be part of that event. And for myself, I used to travel a lot for one of my previous jobs. And, so then having these alumni chapters and having these alumni contacts around the country, gave me the chance that when I was in a given area for my work, that I could get in touch with the alumni chapter in the area that I was traveling to, and be able to, if they had an event that worked out with my work schedule, now I was able to attend it. Or otherwise, if they didn't have any events coming up, I was able to at least get in touch with brothers and be able to have some people that now we had something in common, and I wasn't just sitting in my hotel room or having to go to a restaurant and eat dinner on my own. That I could meet up with brothers in my travels. And alumni chapters are also, they're also very different from collegiate chapters. So collegiate chapters, you have specific number of events that you're having to do. You're following CMP, where you have those certain activities and those certain things that you need to do, and that helps. It helps to keep that consistency of that chapter, which, if you think about, again, the nature of a collegiate chapter, that's your chapter's changing every semester as you initiate new brothers, as brothers graduate. That makeup of the chapter is changing, and CMP allows you to keep that consistency from semester to semester and make sure that you stay a well-operating chapter. Alumni chapters aren't as stringent. Alumni, there are some rules that alumni chapters do have to follow in order to be an alumni chapter. But as far as what they do for events, whether they charge dues, that is all up to the individual alumni chapter. Some alumni chapters focus more on the brotherhood and the camaraderie, and have more social events for brothers to get together and network and just hang out and chill together. Other chapters are focused on the professional side of it, and they'll host professional events, or they'll host community service events. One of these pictures here is from the Twin Cities Alumni Chapter, who every year does, throughout the year, they're collecting money for Toys for Tots. And then in December, they go on a big shopping spree. And 2 years ago, they made it on the news with all of the local news, with everything that they purchased that year with what they'd collected for that community service event. So, it very much varies from alumni chapter to alumni chapter. And alumni chapters right now too are changing. That with everything in this last year with COVID, that I used to be, where, okay, I'd have to actually travel to go to a Chicago alumni chapter event or to a Twin Cities alumni chapter event, because they did all of their events were in person. Now that, we've been having to do with the restrictions from COVID, that alumni chapters are doing a lot more things virtual. And they're also, as far as, chapters are talking about, even once we can start having events and having bigger events in person, that they found that they like having these virtual events. And so they're still going to continue to be doing, maybe not everything, but still doing some things. So it allows, it will allow to be able to continue to have that connection with brothers from around the country. Another area that that a lot of people are familiar with of being involved as an alumni is in the leadership. So most of these are elected positions, and that everybody, when you go through the pledge process, learns about the RVPs and the PVPs and the VP of Finance and the Grand President, and then your district director for the chapter. So even though district director, that I have them on here because they're a leadership position, they are the one in this that is not an elected. They are appointed by the regional vice president. So these are ones that everybody is familiar with, as certain positions. And these are certainly important positions because all of these are ones that this is the fraternity's leadership. This is how our structure, of being able to be a functioning organization, to work with the chapters. So the district directors work directly with their assigned chapter, and being that liaison to the collegiate chapter, working with those brothers, directly, and then working with then they also work with the leadership team within the region, that they report to the RVP. And then, most of the RVPs do some kind of, either quarterly or monthly, some set schedule that they are meeting with their district directors, that, that team is able to work together to address, issues within their chapters, to help each other out as there's, if there's challenges within a given chapter, to be able to share successes, to be able to share if there's something that a chapter is doing really well, and to go, hey, your chapter should look at doing this too, that then, those individuals are working together. And then as we move up that leadership steps of leadership. But this is one that, some of these positions, there's definitely people who, that they want to be in these positions. But it's something that it's not for everybody. Now for myself, I've been a district director for quite a few years. I've been in a variety of district director roles. We've had a couple of colony attempts for chapters in Wisconsin. Some of those have been not so successful. Also had one that I was the district director for the colony, and that was very successful. And then moving on to being that I was a district director for them now as they were a chapter. And then I've switched to another chapter that I'm district director for. And some people that's good. And for me, that happens to be, I do like working with the collegiates, but then as you go, okay, well, RVP, PVP, those all involve elections. And some people that's, they want to do that. And we need people who are doing that. So that's definitely something that, if you strive for a leadership role, great. But that also is something where it's not for everybody, and for myself, that was the case for me. I did run once for RVP, and it was one that, and it was a very friendly, the person who I ran against, we're friends, we're still friends. And it was a very friendly race, but even during that time and afterwards, I was going, yeah, I don't really like this idea of having to run and having to compete. So yeah, what else is there? what else can I do? So that's really kind of when I started for myself looking for what else is there. What else is there besides, alumni chapters? What else is there besides these elected positions? And especially if you recall back to that map that I had up a few slides ago of our alumni chapters, I look at that map and, for where I am in Wisconsin, that when I first moved back to Wisconsin, I used to say I'm in an area that's an alumni black hole. There was, at the time, there was not the chapter at UW-Madison. There was one chapter in Milwaukee, Delta chapter at Marquette, but that was 70 miles away, 75 miles away from me. And there was chapters down in the Chicago area. There was the Milwaukee alumni chapter and there was the Chicago alumni chapter, but both of those, that was an hour to a 2-hour drive to either one of those, to do any activities. And there weren't, at the time when I moved back to Madison, there weren't very many brothers that lived in the area, or at least it was known that they lived in the area. So I was kind of having to go out and find what other activities are there? What are other ways that I can continue to be involved with the fraternity? So one of the ways is with committees. Now, per the fraternity bylaws, there are a number of standing committees. So at the national level, we have 7 different standing committees that these are all listed here. And then there are also, and this is per the bylaws, that there are 5 different provincial committees. So these are all defined in the bylaws. There are set, per the bylaws for some of these committees that it is defined who can be on that committee. That there's, one of the committees that the 2 COIs that are on the board, that then they're part of the committee, or you have to be a Golden Council member in order to be a part of a given committee. But otherwise, for the most part, these committees are open to any brother who wants to serve, has an interest in serving on this committee. For myself, I have served at the provincial level. I have served on the community service provincial committee. I've been the provincial chair for community service. I've also been the provincial chair for the alumni development. And then I have also at the national level that I have served on the alumni development and the community service committees there. And I have served a term as the national chair for the alumni development committee. And each of these committees has their own, they have their own focus. They have their, from biennium to biennium, their priorities, that those, may shift some depending on what, because it is defined by the board as far as, what they do. But some of the things that, you might see the community service doing is, they'll have an initiative at Grand Chapter Congress that they'll be working on. You may have seen communications recently for around the pop tabs for Ronald McDonald House. So the various provincial and the national community service are looking at that. Alumni development, focuses on different things with the alumni chapters and the alumni of the fraternity. Scholastic development and awards, that they're the ones that are looking at, in the fall, they're looking at the COI nominees and are determining the regional, provincial, and national COI. And then in the early summer, that then they're looking at the various awards that the chapters and both collegiate and alumni chapters are submitting for recognition. So that's just 2 of the things that they'll do. So each committee has its own focus. And depending as far as what, where your passion may be, that one of these committees may be something for you to look at. Now, there also are ones, and these are not necessarily, they're not defined in the bylaws, but at a regional level, that there may be other committees, other positions that, depending on the RVP for the region, that they may determine are important for their region. So again, scholastic development and awards, as far as for looking at the regional awards, they may have something around marketing or around social media. They may have something as far as, so each collegiate chapter does only have a single district director assigned to them. But what more RVPs have been doing recently is, well, one, if they have a colony in their region, colony is a lot more work to be a district director for than an active chapter. So a colony will get 2 district directors assigned to them. But for a regular active chapter, there may be instances where the regional vice president may put somebody in either a co-district director, assistant director, district director, some type of role as that. Some instances where that may happen. Maybe it's a larger chapter. Or maybe they have, that it's a chapter that's having some challenges, and it's going to take, a couple of people to tag team on working with that chapter. Another time that they may do this is for somebody who is, that they have not been a district director before, and it's something that they want to do. So now, team up with a chapter's district director to be able to shadow and to be able to kind of see what is that, what all is involved in this role before, ultimately taking on that responsibility to be a chapter's district director. And there could be other positions, that a given RVP may define for their region, other committees that they may put together, depending on what is going on in their region, what are their chapters trying to accomplish, what are their goals, working with the chapters in their region. So one of the things to do is, get in contact with your RVP and, see what opportunities, that they may have available. As well as if there's, something where, you think you can help out the region, with something that, then talk to your RVP as far as what your strength and what you think you can bring to the region in a given role. Well, and again too, now, one of the things as far as, these different positions and these different opportunities, is again, it's not necessarily something where you have to be in a certain area, so, because if you think about, from the standpoint of, especially the national committees, that a lot of times on those national committees, that it is the grand president who is approving who is on that committee, but then, they're trying to get a mix of brothers from around the country. So, you won't have a national committee where it's, all the brothers are from like one province, that there's going to be a representation of each of the different provinces on that committee. And a lot of times that, yes, the committee, is doing conference calls and so forth, but that's because now you're having people from the East Coast and the West Coast, so you're not all traveling to some place to do those committee meetings, that you're able to do that, whether it's over a video call or whether it's just over a phone conference call. So you don't have to be, in that area, as well as too, like with the district directors, that, now since everything has been virtual for a lot of the schools, that then, this year, that then there have been some, where somebody has been a district director for a chapter that they don't live in that area, of the chapter. So it's a changing world with all of the virtual and video conferencing and all of that is available. So another area where there's opportunities is with the Leadership Foundation. And what a lot of people, they do hear about as far as, donations to the Leadership Foundation, that we always, they're always promoting, donating to the foundation around Alumni Day is in April, or around Founders Day, Giving Tuesday, at any provincial or national event that, the Leadership Foundation is, I haven't been to I can't think of an event that I've been to where the Leadership Foundation hasn't been there and looking for donations, because that is the purpose of the foundation, is to have donors donate money that then now the foundation then turns around and provides that to the fraternity in grants to the fraternity for education events, for scholarships, and giving back that money. That is the purpose of the foundation. So they do want people to donate. And at some point in your life, that may be the only, that, okay, hey, I can't go to events, I can't do other things, but hey, I have a little bit of extra money and I can make that donation to the fraternity. That is a way of giving back to the fraternity. But then there are also other ways to be able to volunteer with the foundation. That the foundation has a board made up of trustees, that they're the ones that are running the foundation and deciding how they're going to grant that money to the fraternity, how much are they going to grant, how are they going to solicit donations and so forth. That is all by the trustees. So that is certainly opportunities. The foundation also has various committees that these are the trustees are part of these committees, but then they also on some of their committees that then they do bring in other brothers. So for myself, I have served on several foundation committees, even though I have never been a foundation trustee. They have one of the committees is because there is, I believe it's approximately 60 scholarships that the foundation gives out every year. So, and I think this last year, I want to say, I know I reviewed over 250 scholarship applications, and that was only for 3 of the 5 provinces. So, it was, well over, 300, 400 applicants that applied for scholarships. Well, somebody has to review all those applicants and decide, who is going to be awarded these scholarships. And so that is part of one of the committees that the foundation has. And they, have brothers who are part of that committee. They have a period of time to review those scholarships, provide their feedback on who they believe should be awarded those scholarships. And then that is compiled for who is ultimately awarded each of those various scholarships. So that is something, that people can do. Other things that you can do with the foundation are, at Grand Chapter Congress, the foundation always has a table, where they're soliciting donations, sharing information about the scholarships and about what the foundation is doing. And there again, they need people to work that table. So that is something that that somebody can do. You know, as well as that the foundation is also, you know, they always sell raffle tickets at Grand Chapter Congress. For those of you who've been to Grand Chapter Congress, and the Pearl and Ruby badge that are raffled off, you know, so that's, you know, that's organized by the foundation, but, you know, it takes volunteers to go out and go around and sell those raffle tickets. So a variety of options there. And if there is something with the foundation that you're interested in doing and looking for more information, that then they're, you know, either reaching out to Tyler Walsh, who is the executive vice president of the foundation, or any of the trustees. And then they can also provide you information on the opportunities to work with the foundation. And then, you know, there's also other local or not so local opportunities. We talked about the standing committees that the fraternity has, that those are, you know, given in the bylaws, that's defined by the bylaws. But there may be times where there's something that, you know, okay, it doesn't need a committee, but we do need a group of people to review it. And so, you know, that the fraternity leadership puts together a national task force. And, you know, so we've had recent task forces that have looked at our ritual. We've had ones, I believe right now an active one is the diversity and inclusivity, that is a national task force. So there's a variety, and these are changing, you know, all the time, that depending on what is going on in the world, what is something that the fraternity needs to have a specific focus on. You can also be a speaker at, you know, a chapter event at a lot of regions. The RVPs will put together a regional conference. So you can, you know, be a speaker at a regional event or provincial or grand chapter. You know, so that's something as far as to look at, you know, being able to do. You know, just attending collegiate chapter events, you know, and whether it's a local chapter, and it doesn't have to be your home chapter, you know, that it can be that, you know, because for myself, I went to school in Iowa, lived in Chicago for a while, now I'm living in Madison, you know, and my home chapter's closed. You know, so it can be, you know, any chapter. It does not have to be your home chapter. If there's a chapter that's looking for speakers, and looking for somebody to present a topic, you know, that's something that you can certainly help chapter out on going to that chapter and presenting. You know, and one of the nice things too that everybody has found, you know, this last year, as chapters have gone to that virtual, because they've had to with restrictions that their schools have put on them, you know, that then they've started thinking outside the box, you know, and started going, okay, hey, we don't have to have speakers from in our immediate area. You know, if we're in the Midwest, we can have somebody speaking to our chapter from California, you know, or we can have somebody speaking to us from Florida or New York or, you know, or somewhere else, in, you know, or, you know, having two in the Midwest, our winters aren't the greatest, you know, and so being able to have, even if it's somebody that, you know, within the same state, but, you know, hey, we're supposed to get a blizzard, maybe not the best time to travel, but being able to do it virtually, that opens up a lot of possibilities as far as where chapters are looking for speakers to come from, you know, as well as where, you know, if that's something, if you have a topic that you can present to a chapter, you know, now that opens up what chapters you can reach out to and you can talk to. As well as that, then, once you're an alumni, still keeping in touch with your home chapter, because that is your home chapter. And for myself, that's one of the things actually now that I kind of miss, that I don't have I can't go back to St. Ambrose and see what my chapter is up to, because they're not there. So certainly, reaching out to your chapter, and making sure that they're reaching out to other alumni who are not just from your school, that, they're reaching out to alumni, around the country, because that's one of the things, that I have. There are 2 brothers from my home chapter that are from the time when I was in school that I'm still really good friends with and I keep in touch with. But all the other brothers that I'm friends with and that I keep in contact with, they're from other chapters and they're from around the country, that, from the East Coast to the West Coast and everywhere in between, are those that, that I keep in touch with. And then also keeping your contact information up to date with central office, because that's one of the things, that, central office is going to send, they're going to send out the communications, and, they send out emails to alumni. They send, there'll be various mailings that they'll send out as well. And if you're not keeping your information up to date with them, now it makes it that much harder for you to get that information of, okay, what's happening with alumni in the fraternity, or what's new, that's going on. So making sure that you're keeping that up to date, so that, you can, if there is something that, hey, they're looking for speakers for something, or, that, as well too, that actually one of the other ways as far as where that information can go back to a chapter is chapters can run or can request a radius report. And so if you're in an area that now is a different area than your home chapter, well, the chapters that are in that area, they may be requesting a radius report from the central office, that then now gives a list of all of the brothers that are within a 50-mile radius of that chapter. And if your information is up to date with central office, now that chapter has that information available to them. So if they're looking for a speaker, if they're looking, if they're going to, let's say it's a chapter that has a major anniversary coming up, and so they're going to be having a celebration to celebrate, 25 years or 50 years or 10 years, that, they may be reaching out to alumni in the area to invite them to that celebration. So then now that gets your information, to those chapters, so that they have an opportunity to reach out to you as well. Okay. And then some different resources that are available. That there's the website, and one of the important things that I would point you to on there as an alumni is the chapter locator, because not only does that indicate all of the collegiate chapters, but then that also has the information for all of the alumni chapters and alumni contacts. And so you can look on there going, oh, I'm going to be traveling to a given area, or I'm going to be, my job is having me move to a new area. Now you have some of that contact information, right there, as far as how you can reach out to a specific alumni chapter or to other brothers. Also looking on, many alumni chapters have websites or have social media pages, and so looking at those and looking at, what what events does an alumni chapter have coming up, or what activities are they trying to do? Are they looking for people to help with a certain activity? As well as then for social media, that I believe all 5 provinces do have a provincial Facebook page. Many regions also have a regional Facebook page, as well as Instagram and Twitter accounts. So those are also out there as well. And so I encourage you to look for those pages and those sites, and join, if there's an area that you're moving to, or that that's where you're going to be, or even somewhere where, okay, oh, well, this was my hometown. I'm not living there, but I'm from there, and I want to get to know, because I do go back during the holidays or something, that, I want to connect with brothers that are there. So I encourage you to look for those pages. There are also a variety of fraternity sites that, I'm mostly Facebook. I'm, being Gen X, that I have not quite gotten into some of the other social media. So, I know there's various ones out there in Twitter and Instagram and those, but I tend to, for myself, be more on Facebook. But there's a Facebook page of the International Fraternity of Delta Sigma Pi. There's a one for alumni and current brothers. There's a whole bunch of them that are out there. So just doing a search of Delta Sigma Pi or DSP will bring up these different groups, and then it's another way to connect with other alumni brothers. It's another way to, if there's something that you're looking to do, or that you want to help with, that you can put that information out there, or you can see as far as what other brothers that if they're needing assistance with something, that a lot of times they're putting posts out there. So you can see that and be able to step in if there's something that you can help another brother out with. And then as well, that there's also some various interest groups, as far as for different ones. So I have on here that there's the Oxford Flyers, which is for brothers that are interested in running. And that they, a lot of times at Grand Chapter Congress, they organize, getting a bunch of brothers to, go out in the morning for a run. There's a new one, is the DSP Foodies, that shares all kinds of information about, different recipes that people are doing, or, different things around food. So all kinds of different interest groups. 2 groups that have, and I see some things in the comments about it, and then I do have some indications here, for it. So 2 other groups that are out there is DSP Serves and DS Speakers. What these 2 are these are also Facebook groups that the DSP Serves focuses around community service, and a chance for brothers to share different community service opportunities that are available, or if they're looking for some type of community service, to be able to ask, for ideas, so basically around that idea of community service. And then the DS Speakers, that this one is a way for connecting brothers who have a topic that they're able to present on, and those brothers and those chapters that are looking for some type of presentation, or looking for somebody to talk with the chapter, or talk with a group on those ideas. So those are those are some two new ones that recently started up and have been, chapters have found those really beneficial, and Alumni Brothers have also found those, to be because that's another way to just, to be able to stay involved, and to find, that, okay, hey, there may not, I may have a topic that I'm able to present on, but okay, well, I've already talked to the chapters in my area about it, that, okay, now how can I get that out to a wider audience? How can I, that maybe this is something that, another chapter out in California or down in Georgia or Texas or, someplace like that, they want to hear about it as well. And it's finally, that some things is, think about, what is your passion? What is it that you want to be your purpose as an alumni? And go out and, take the steps to find it. And that's a lot of times as an alumni, that's, it does take taking that action on your own. If you are lucky enough to live in, a large metro area that, has a thriving alumni chapter, has multiple collegiate chapters, it's really easy. When I lived in the Chicago area for several years, and there's 6 collegiate chapters, and I believe at the time when I was in the Chicago area, that the alumni chapter at that point was like 200 brothers that were part of the alumni chapter. And so it is really easy to stay involved, because the alumni chapter was doing events, the collegiate chapters in the area were always looking for people to come and talk with them and attend their events. But if you're in an area where there's not as many chapters, there's only 1 or 2 chapters, or there's not an alumni chapter, that it's going to take that action. And I encourage you to take that action, and it's going to change, like I said, over time, that what you're doing as a brand new alumni, and what you're going to be doing, once you hit 25, 30, 50 years in the fraternity, that is going to change over time. What I was doing as a brand new alumni versus what I'm doing, now as a, this, 2021 for me is going to be 30 years as part of this fraternity. And, that it's my role now, I enjoy what I'm doing and I enjoy everything I'm doing, but it's definitely different than, what I was doing 25 years ago as a brand new graduate and a new alumni. So I definitely encourage you to look at what it is that you enjoy doing, and to stay involved, to reach out to leadership, reach out to the central office, use the social media. That is also something that, when I graduated in '95, the social media didn't exist. So it was, you got on a mailing list for a group, or email was starting to get popular, but it was still, even that was still very limited. So, but having those different social media and being able to reach out and stay connected definitely makes it easier for all of you nowadays. So any questions that anybody has?
Hi, Teresa. My name is Matthew Gallardo. I'm from the Epsilon chapter at New Mexico State University, and I'm currently the Alumni Relations Officer. And you talked about alumni meeting with brothers when they travel with their jobs. How can they keep in contact? Is it just mostly through social media, or is there like a website they can join?
Yeah, a lot of it, I do for myself, I would do it through social media. And think there are, there are some different travel groups. Yeah, and so, joining those, and otherwise, reaching out, yeah, and are you looking more too, as far as, you're looking more from the chapter, and how can the chapter reach out?
Well, as to the chapter, and also to getting like this information to new alumni.
Mm-hmm.
How can they like get this information, so if they do like end up traveling, they can find new brothers?
Right. Yeah, as a chapter, I would recommend, sharing things on the different provincial pages, and provincial and regional pages on social media. Looking at, as well too, now with the DSP speakers group and those types of ones, sharing things on those different sites to let brothers know that, and invite those brothers who may be traveling to your area. And then as far as, getting out to, to new alumni, that then, encouraging them to, use the chapter locator, use the social media pages to be able to find those contacts, and to put posts out there, and to email to let chapters know that, they're going to be in an area, and looking to get together, or available to speak or attend events.
Yeah, if you're going to be in a particular area, you've got a trip coming up, even to post something on the Delta Sigma Pi Facebook page and say, hey, I'm going to be in Milwaukee the week of something, love to meet up for dinner. Anyone in the area, let me know. Some of us who may be close by may drive in to see you, or we will identify additional brothers and ping them to reach out. So, sometimes it depends. If you're looking for a personal connection, sometimes going right off to Delta Sigma Pi saying, I'm going to be in the area for a day, love to meet up, works. Or, reach out to the chapters, as Teresa has said. They can also put you in touch with local folks.
Yeah, I mean, even as you're interviewing, right? Like I put in the chat some of my travel experiences, but when I was interviewing for my position, Teresa, who is now presenting, like Teresa helped me. She let me crash at her place. I stayed over for the weekend. We looked at apartments, we looked at stables. Like Teresa was a huge part of my success in setting myself up in Madison. And those sorts of connections come when you reach out and you say, hey, I'm going to be in the area, and brothers truly will do whatever they can to help you out. So Teresa, I've never forgotten that. And, I used that same method to celebrate birthdays while I was on the road working for Epic. And Houston and Louisville, like they literally threw events just because I was in town. It was phenomenal brotherhood and phenomenal fraternity to support me in that way.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you, Gail and Noel.
Yeah, the brotherhood is phenomenal too. And kind of going back to kind of what Teresa said about the committees, it's definitely a raise your hands type of philosophy. If there's something that you want to do, you definitely want to raise your hand and also follow up too. Because everybody's busy in their own different things. So like the more you follow up and the more that you make yourself known, the more likely too you're going to be doing what you want to do too in the fraternity. So that's definitely a key thing as well.
On that note, sir, if you'd allow me, I'd like to share a small story with a question right at the end. So the fraternity bond in Lambda Mu has been so advantageous for my personal development. I was a non-traditional student and I was accepted, I pledged, and it went through. And then later on, us brothers decided to, a handful of brothers decided to recharter one of the Rotary International community service clubs in UOP, which had become extinct about 5 years ago prior to our knowledge. And that effort together that we put as brothers, that has really allowed us to bond very closely. And my question is that for the brothers who are in Stockton primarily, have the closest alumni chapter in the Bay Area. So if we would like to start one for the Modesto, Lodi, um, Stockton, Manteca area, the San Joaquin County area, how is that possible? Is that difficult? Is that doable to start a new alumni chapter for this specific region?
Yeah, no, it is certainly doable. Minimum requirements for a alumni chapter are that you have 10 brothers. That you have a meeting. Alumni chapters are only required to have one meeting a year to elect their officers, and there's 4 required officer positions for an alumni chapter: president, VP finance, VP collegiate relations, and somebody help me out because I'm drawing a blank on the 4th one.
Chapter ops?
Chapter ops, okay.
Yeah, chapter ops and community service, yeah. Or alumni
Right.
chapter, yeah.
That, right. So having those, electing those 4 positions. An alumni chapter can certainly have other positions. And, some alumni chapters do, some don't. There is a $100 franchising fee, that annual franchising fee that is paid to central office. So those are, that's the minimum requirements, for an alumni chapter. And then, having that, that group, once you have that core group, of now deciding, what is it that you want to do as far as for your events, how are you going to hold those events, what type of events, but there again, as I mentioned earlier, there's no, where a collegiate chapter has to have a certain number of professional events, a certain number of community service events, and so forth. There's not that same requirement for an alumni chapter. That, if what you want is the focusing on networking and professionalism, if you want to be more focused on community service, that is up to, that group of brothers of what you want that chapter to do.
Thank you.
And then one of the resources too that I would recommend, if you're looking at starting an alumni chapter, or even, as far as that, if, when you're part of an alumni chapter, that there is out on the website that there are some best practices documentation as far as, best practices for alumni chapters. And as well as, for CMP, for the collegiate chapters, you have your different levels of accredited recognition, and what's the third one?
Excellence.
Excellence. I'm like, it's an E. It's the weekend. I'm not totally awake, even though it's almost 2 o'clock here. So you have those recognition levels for CMP at a collegiate level. There also are recognition levels for alumni chapters that those are, there's a bronze, silver, and gold level. that as part of that, then that has different things that, chapters, alumni chapters can use that, not only as far as for getting the recognition, but also as using that kind of as a template for what are things that we should operationally look at doing as an alumni chapter, because there's different things around, how often to communicate and, do like newsletters out to members, working with area collegiate chapters, and doing, co-hosting events for collegiate chapters. So there's different things that are like that in that recognition program for the alumni chapters.
Yeah, and we'll also, in part of the virtual programming on February 25th, there's also going to be a alumni chapter forum, and part of, kind of the topic areas is how to recruit, what are some best practices. So you're certainly more than welcome and actually encouraged to come into that session, because we're going to be talking about sharing recruiting letters and talking about how to schedule events and things like that. And if I recall from the fall, and Cody may know this better, I think there's a group in San Diego looking to do the same thing. So and they might be on the line as well, and you can kind of pick their brains, or as we say in the marketing world, borrow some of their assets in campaigns for recruiting it as well. So more than happy to try to connect you with those folks too if you need some help.
I appreciate that.
And
Thank you
yeah.
so much.
And Paul, yeah, thanks for saying that. I don't know anything about San Diego, but something I was going to mention too is know your like other alumni contacts. And if you don't know, reach out to your regional vice president and they'll put you in contact with those people. Like Lambda Mu, you're uniquely situated too, right in between Sacramento and Fresno. And there's 2 alumni chapters up there. And those are very big alumni presence too, kind of like get involved with one another. And so yeah, know your alumni chapter contacts as well. And also about a year ago, within the Sierra Nevada region, the Chico alumni chapter established, because there was interest, those within the Chico area that were able to engage with one another, and kind of like what you're talking about right now, they were able to form a group. And then also kind of the Las Vegas alumni chapter, they're not right now a franchise alumni chapter, but those still interests are still, even though alumni chapters aren't necessarily franchised, there's still groups of brothers that get together with one another to stay connected. And that even kind of brings me to with probably all of you have noticed FRAC that's been attached to this event. And you're probably wondering, what the heck is FRAC? I don't know what this is. It's a 4-letter word, right? But FRAC too consists, it's almost like, I mean, you could relate it to like an alumni chapter or a committee that Teresa mentioned, of a group of interested volunteers or just brothers getting together on a weekly basis on Fridays to all across the country just to stay connected and interact with one another and to help other alumni chapters and to be a resource.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cody. Also, just wanted to know, does the alumni chapter need advisors?
But no, they don't. They actually, alumni chapters, depending on as far as the region and what volunteers and so forth, alumni chapters should have a district director, but that's sometimes that's not always always possible, but so they will have a district director, but because of the fact that they're they're not associated with a specific, university or school, that there is no, faculty advisor like a collegiate chapter has. So, but then that district director will be determined, they'll be appointed by the RVP. So.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That's all from me.
All right. Well, I certainly, encourage everybody to, to stay involved, and one of the things that, that I've really learned this last year is, given everything in the world, it's, think outside the box, with stuff. And, there's certainly, it has certainly opened up, even more ways to, to be involved, or, has changed the way for brothers to be involved. So I certainly encourage, all of you to, to continue your involvement. Reach out to those brothers that, reach out to, those, on social media. I'm on both LinkedIn and on Facebook, so certainly, I welcome anybody reaching out to me. Just let me know that you're a brother. Sometimes I see names and going, who's this? So you're certainly, welcome to reach out to me. And, I hope all of you continue to stay involved, because that is, as an alumni is, that's where, I've gotten the most out of Deltasig as an alumni, that's by far. So thank you very much, everybody. And I will turn it back over to Cody.
Teresa. Yeah, and then in the grand scheme of things too, typically when you join Delta Sigma Pi, it's 4 years, right? And you always hear the saying, it's not just for 4 years, but it's for life. And that's truly a true statement too, because in the grand scheme of things, 4 years out of your entire life, that's less than 1%. And depending on how you look at it, or even 4, 5, 6 years, but yeah. I think we have about 6 minutes left. I think that concludes our event today. Thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Am I missing anything else? Yeah. I think that's good.
Thank you. This was awesome. Great job, Teresa.